Wow, this will be epic and not in a good way. Thanks, B2.
Thanks,
Appreciate that.
B2.
Always love the
What a
constructive
good guy.
criticism.
Let's see if... Oh, Brad's there. Look at that.
Am I there?
Let's see. Look at that. Hello, everyone.
Look at Trevor. That's good. That's good.
I look great, don't I?
We're all here. I just need to get an audio check on both Brad M. and Puck Vanek, please.
Mic check.
Audio
1,
check.
2.
Do I sound better than Trevor?
Green screen is a must. B2, we're working on it. Maybe next week.
Yeah, sometimes the green screen real estate's a little difficult in some spaces. Yeah.
When did I have a door back there? I've always had a door. Thank you, Pulsified, for the question.
First question of the night from Pulsified.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to PB&J.
Yes,
you may
very
be
much
dinner
so.
time, but you always have some room for PB&J in your life.
Yeah. PB&J, Puck Vanek, Brad M., and John Fly. We called it a Streamcast. I mean, you can call it a podcast. You can call it sitting around the campfire, whatever you want to call it. Streamcast just sounded right, guys. I mean, it was a good idea.
Yeah.
But this is episode 1. Yeah.
You guys are the first ones here seeing this live. First time ever in history going down right now. This Streamcast.
Yeah.
So how are we kicking it off? Should we do some intros then?
I think we should maybe get some dancing going on. No. Let's do intros. Let's do intros.
All right.
So,
we're gonna go
yeah.
youngest first. Maybe John Fly.
No, this is all about you for the moment, Brad. I'm gonna flip it on you for a second.
Yeah, it's all about
I
you.
gotta start.
Yeah.
How about you, bud?
All right. So
a JT Kerr had the question. This is prepared before the stream. Please tell us what brought you to flight simulation, Brad M.
What brought me to flight simulation was probably just love of planes, love of traveling and aviation and stuff like that. And I got to travel a lot as a kid, and that opened me up to seeing a bunch of different, places around the world, different planes, different countries, and different airports. And that just made me, of course, whenever you're a kid, right, you see like a construction vehicle and you want to go, to like Toys R Us, and of course have your parents get you like a little backhoe or something like that. So it was kind of the same thing for me, but with planes. And that just kind of spiraled into, the whole flight sim. Like, how can I immerse myself further in this love of travel and airplanes and stuff? They were big, they were loud, they were scary. It was fun. It was like a rush. And then, I said, hey, here's a video game I can do it, and I love video games, so why not make it happen?
Yeah.
And,
where did you first see it?
There you go.
Where did you first see Microsoft or X-Plane or whatever? Where did you see it online or in the store? Or?
Yeah, I mean, just doing overall research. I started off pretty much back in Flight Sim 2001 or 2, whichever one had. I forgot which one had the Concorde. It was one of those.
It's probably
I think it was 2002,
maybe.
Yeah, I think
maybe
2000. Yeah, maybe either one of those. But I just kind of got into that and got it going. Had a little custom built. Back in the day, custom built didn't really mean it all was the same thing. But I tried to tweak it and make my sims run better, and I still obviously do today. But that was my initial sim, and just flying around. And then it didn't really get serious until maybe 2012 or 11 when I stopped, using sims entirely because Microsoft dropped the FSX line.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of secretly heartbroken because I had to find something else to do with my abundant free time. So I was kind of pissed there was no other viable option. And then I took a pretty big hiatus from flight sim up until the summer of 2017 when I found X-Plane 11 and I got a new PC again, and it just took off from there. But I mean, yeah, I've used everything in between. For the most part, it's just been FSX since 2006. And I was really I wasn't ever into it as much as I am now. I'm not sure why I'm into it like I am now, but I didn't even know. I bought the PMDG 737. I didn't even know what a flight plane was when I bought it. Right? I just dove in head first like crazy. I still do. But,
Yeah, that sounds very familiar with when I dropped, you heard of FS2 Crew, right? Where it's a voice automation system for the PMDG NGX, and it pretty much does everything for you. And I was running that in 2013, 2014. I had no clue how to do the plane on my own.
Yeah.
I still mess up, but we've come farther. Cool, very cool. Puck Vanek, what brought you to flight simulation?
First off, I want to bring up the whole green screen issue. Everyone, like, who said that? Somebody said,
"Who said
real
that?
men?" There it is. Deep Fried. He said, "Boys have green screens. Real men have American flags." So thank you.
Hey, I'm a Colin. Are you here?
I don't mind being called a boy.
Can anybody see that? I don't think anybody can see that, Brad. So
I can.
I don't mind be calling a boy. That's good. I'm like a boy with my toy in the sim. Yeah.
So yeah, next week I'll have green screen. But for flight simulation, I guess I started. It might have been probably 2009-ish. My family, all my life, had airplanes. My uncle had a A36 up until 2014. A36 Bonanza. My grandpa's had, he's had like 4 different types of Barons. He owned a Cessna 185 float plane for a while, and he'd always take me out to the airport to like go and look at the plane when I was younger, like 8 or 9. So I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool. I've always liked transportation. Like I once wanted to be like a ship captain, a train engineer, like all that stuff. And I just love transportation, and I love big, heavy machines and all that. And I think flying really like brought out, I don't know, the best in me. So at the time, I wasn't, like in 2009, I obviously wasn't old enough to start flying, like towards a license or whatnot. So I'd go on flights with my uncle, my grandpa, whatever. So 2009, got into FSX, saw it at Best Buy, actually. I was just browsing through all the computer games and whatnot, like with my mom and my brother. And I was like, you know what? I want that. So bought it and brought it home, started playing it for like 3 years. No add-ons. Didn't even have joystick, just mouse yoke, whatever. Then I got actually the same joystick that I'm using today, the Logitech 3D Pro. If anybody says that anything else is the best joystick, you're lying, because that is the best joystick.
It's the number one recommended joystick for sure.
It is. It's lasted about 8 years now.
Yeah.
Mine literally lasted 10 years, and I gave it away on stream.
Signed.
And someone's still using it. Okay, yeah, they asked for the autograph too. Yeah,
that's amazing.
On the 3D.
I have 2 of them, and they're 10 plus years old, because I have the one from FSX, which was 2006, and we're now in 19, so 13 years old.
Yeah,
they really are.
So you were doing keyboard and mouse yoke with 2002, and you were how old?
Who, me?
No, you, Puck.
Wait, me?
When you were saying you said you were using the mouse and the keyboard instead of a joystick when you got that 2002 without the add-ons.
Oh, no, that was FSX. I didn't have FS 2002. I had
FSX. Yeah.
I was a late bloomer when it came to the whole sim game, but what was that? 2009. That was was I 11, 12?
Okay, so yeah,
11 or 12ish. Yeah. So started out with that, whatever. Oh, geez. Got a joystick. So then I started to progressively get into it. Got the PMDG 737. Flew the heck out of that till about 2013. I started to get out of it. Didn't know what streaming was. Didn't know about people like on YouTube or whatnot. Then about, what was that? My freshman year of college, I discovered X-Plane, and it was still in beta. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. So I bought X-Plane. I then bought the Flight Factor 757, and I flew that with my friends a bunch with the joystick that I have. Flew that a bunch until about the end of 2017. Then I really started to ramp it up, got a bunch of payware airplanes, started to try to make my sim look really nice, really fantastic and whatnot. And then I discovered Brad and John, probably January of 2018. I'd been watching Val Dudes for probably about 2 years now, but he was on iRacing back in the day when I first discovered him. So that's kind of where I discovered him. But yeah, I started to get back into the streaming thing, or watching Twitch streams, and yeah, so here we are today.
Nice.
And I started watching Puck way before that, by the way. I met Puck in a Chili stream, and he used to stream NHL on his PS4 in his dorm. And if you go to his channel right now, you will find clips, videos, and collections from things that are possibly 8 years old. You got to go look at his beach blonde hair and his baby face. It's a classic. It's a great time.
I still have the baby face. What are you talking about?
All right, it's still there a bit.
I don't recall exactly where I found either one of you, but I think Brad, I may have found you just as a random host one day, I think, and I hosted you, I think. But I can't recall specifically, but I'm glad you guys are both here. You're honestly two streams that I really enjoy. Please tell Brad, go ahead and tell people where they can find you on Twitch.
Twitch.tv/BradM. Easy enough.
Brad M.
Easy. Or if you don't go there directly, you'll find me in pretty much any other stream, any other given point in the day in the Flight Sim channel, checking them out. So.
And Puck.
Brad
Puck for you. What's your Twitch address? Some people will be watching this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, from YouTube. Yeah. Twitch.tv/PuckVanick.
Yeah. So PUCK.
Not Pork Vanork, as a lot of people say. Puck Vanik.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. I thank you for the subscribe, Wisconsin Aviation. I think you come from Puck Vanik's stream, so I do appreciate the support very much. So thank you very much. Yeah, so just a little bit of background on me and where I'm coming from with regard to flight simulation. I've told the story, I think probably, and we're gonna have to probably continue to tell the story as we meet new people. But I started in flight simulation in 1986. I was 14 years old, and yeah, it was version 1 on the Macintosh, and it was you flew out of MiGs, and it was vector graphics. You had basically a line and you flew around, but it had functional VORs and everything like that, and that was my start. And the reason how I got into it is my father was a PPL. He was a glider pilot, and he owned a Cessna 172 and 182. And also did a gliding sailplane action. So he had that aviation hobby, and so he's the one who purchased the flight simulator for me. And just briefly, I'll tell you the story. I've told it before. In 1986, I was freshman year of high school, and I took my Macintosh with me to my TV production class, where we had these huge camcorders, and I had to do a TV show in front of the classroom, and they recorded it on the gigantic VHF camcorder. So I'm setting up the Macintosh to show off flight simulation in front of this high school class, and the teacher's like, "It's not going to work. You're not going to be able to see the screen." And I looked at her and I said, "It's a Macintosh. You're going to be able to see it." She was used to the DOS screens not coming up very well on a video back then. Worked out perfectly. I showed the class how to navigate from a VOR from Meigs Field, how to do the and it was probably really boring, but I would pay big bucks to have that video today. So I essentially did my first flight video sim stream in 1986. Yeah. So yeah, since then I did the every version up through prepared. All the way up through prepared, all the Microsoft versions all the way to prepared, and then in October of 2015, that's when I was introduced to X-Plane, and as you guys know me, I do primarily X-Plane now, so that's the brief introductions there. So yeah, I know there's a bunch of questions. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
we're streaming under the what's it, podcast category even, or I think
podcast,
it's talk show.
Talk shows and podcasts.
We may switch over to the flight simulation channels just to let people know that we're here, but yeah. Should we throw it out for a question in the chat, or do we want to maybe talk about...
Yeah, if you guys have any questions in chat, just drop them. We'll see them. We're all keeping an eye here. So if you have any, I know Mr. St. Wolfric in the house. Didn't he have a question earlier for us?
I think so.
Was it St. Wolfric?
B2 says I'm prominently displaying my Apple Watch, so...
That's
sponsored.
True. I forgot to charge mine last night. Darn it.
You don't need that with these. Yeah, you guys are fancy kids these days. Just get the old analog stuff.
Feel free to
G-Shock, yeah.
G-Shock, yeah, that one. Same.
Richard Train, where did he fly gliders? He flew them out of the Boise, Idaho area. Yeah.
Boise, no. I like that.
I even have a picture of me as a like 2 years old inside the glider cockpit. So yeah. Jay Snap says he didn't realize that I didn't do X-Plane until 2015. Yeah. Yeah, it was Josh Gibbs and Marcus MMC who got me into to flight sim.
Take a peek at St. Wilford's question there. He says, social media as it is today, driving force behind it. Will people look back years from now and view this as the flight sim renaissance? I'll tell you what, like, again, I've only been in flight sim, like, seriously now, which, of course, if it weren't for Twitch, I would not even, like, it wouldn't even come close. Like, this would be just something I did maybe, like, once every month, every couple of months, like, at most. I'm not sure why. Like, I'm just sucked into this flight sim hole. It's just the most awesome thing in my entire life, though, to be honest with you. But I think, yeah, I think this is probably it. Like, you know, the hindsight is 2020. Like, we're going to look back. Like, this is the good old days right now. There is so much happening. There's so much evolution. The technology, there's stuff coming out that can't even keep up with the hardware technology. Like, everything is just new releases, new products, new hardware, software, everything, what feels like almost every single day. So I think you are on the money. Like, we're living it right now. Yeah.
I totally agree.
I
totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I just think about those early Sims, and if someone, you know, a lot of people you hear nowadays, if they only have seen it in the last year or two, they're like, I had no idea this existed. I had no idea. And so the online, the YouTubes and the Twitch TV and all that, it's sharing what we have as an amazing platform that it's going to get better. But I think it is a turning point. Absolutely. What do you think, Puck?
Yeah, I agree with that. When I first started, with flight sim, I had no idea what any of this stuff was. Now within the last 2-3 years, it's really grown exponentially. Like, when I started out, just an example, currently a lot of people are still like complaining with P3D and whatnot. If you don't have a expert, like a fantastic computer, you're not going to get more than 25, 30, 40 frames. With X-Plane, you're getting almost 60 frames constantly with that same type of computer. Everything is really evolving. And when I first started in X-Plane 2016, 2017, I was getting 15 FPS on the same computer I still stream with that I now stream at 60 FPS.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the progression of change it's crazy how fast everything is changing. We have the new particle effect system that has taken how many years to get posted and get published. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, it's just
even a year ago.
A lot of the stuff.
Even
exactly.
1 year ago. I see a couple of other questions here that stand out, Brad. Do you see anything in particular that you wanna address?
A couple of them. Mainly right now, just see Mitch is here. What's one thing that you could change if you could about flight sim? I would just say the universal accessibility of it. I know it's like a $60 game typically, right? X-Plane 60, you know, maybe FSX Steam Edition it's old, but it's still cheap, right? But I mean, like, we're pumping out like thousands of dollars just to run a $60 game, which I get it. Like, maybe you buy an old car and you fix it up and you put more money into it and stuff like that. But I mean, my PC is over $1,500 just to run a $60 game. And that was the sole reason that I got the new PC, was for this game. So, like, one thing I would change is just maybe kind of level the playing field a bit. And you know, maybe prices are high, and I get we're trying to, you know, take a, you know, $100 million aircraft and put it in the sim, and if it's not spot on, you know, for $60, people cry wolf and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like sometimes things are out of proportionate. You know, maybe just the pricing is kind of extreme. You know, upwards of sometimes $40 for a scenery. It's a lot.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what about you, Puck?
I agree with that. I think the one plane that I can actually truly say I'm fully with paying, I think it's $64.99, is the Hot Start TBM. I've I've never seen a plane that actually incorporates every single system in the depth that the TBM does.
There's an emote for that.
There is a emote, yes, the TBM 900 emote. But the plane actually has all of the systems. It actually operates the way that an actual TBM 900 series would operate. My uncle owns one. I've flown in it probably 3 or 4 loggable hours now. And that's the only one that I can see paying that amount of money. The Flight Factor A320, while I think it is the best tube liner to fly, it's not worth the $90-something price tag at this current moment. It's good, but it's not where it needs to be yet. On the P3D side, you have the 777. That's the only 777 that is available at that quality, I guess I should say. And do you guys know what the price is for that? I'm not 100%
sure. It's like $130, but again, like nobody
Yeah.
understands that it's like hundreds of millions of dollars for this plane in real life. And again, people will probably cry. They won't show you or tell you, but they'll cry because their $100 plane can't do every single thing.
Yeah.
That this one can.
I have an interesting opinion, and that is, I'm okay with the current pricing for these things, but I'll back that up with an alternative. I like the pricing for a lot of things. I like the developers to make a lot of money, because it in turn makes them incentivizes them to come out with new product, and it pays the bills for them. I mean, it's a big deal to have a house of, say, 6 to 8 developers. It takes a lot of money to pay for them and their families to live and stuff like that. So I'm okay with it. But we, in this hobby, we do have a young demographic as well as a middle-aged and an older demographic like myself. There should be maybe programs that would make it more cost-effective. Like it's cheaper for someone who's under 17 to go on to a certain attraction or whatever. There could be. It would be hard to measure that, and it would be hard to enforce that. But there could be scholarship funds. There could be, if you have a school ID or something. I don't know, but I don't have a problem paying, but then again, there's some people that just don't have as much money. So let's face it. When I was 15, I didn't have a lot of money for add-ons, right? So I was like, there weren't a lot of add-ons when I was 15, so I didn't have to worry about it. But nowadays, it's an interesting subject.
I do agree with that. I actually do agree with that. Because I know a lot of people that are college students or high school students that I've talked to from my stream, Brad's stream, that say, "Oh, I don't know what to buy. Do I buy the $40 Bonanza with the rep pack, or do I buy the TBM and spend the $20 more?"
Yeah, a lot of young simmers, a lot of people on tight budgets and stuff like that. So like it really is, like not everybody has an income for this, right? Like we have stuff that we can set aside. Like we're lucky enough, right? We get Twitch subs, we get donations, stuff that you guys give to us that enable us to provide something in return to you, which is super cool, but not everyone is able to do that. So
back to the original question for me is that what's the one thing that you'd change? And I don't know if it's technologically possible yet, and maybe it is, it's just not available yet. The one thing, believe it or not, this is going to sound strange, I want VR resolution to improve.
I knew you were gonna.
Did you feel it?
Doubt. I knew it was coming, John. I knew
it.
Dude,
we're like 2,000 miles apart, and you just wavelength that. Anyway,
Everybody's on the same wavelength.
Let's continue on down the list here. We have several questions, and I apologize that we're not going to be able to get to everything tonight. Just briefly,
I did see one. I saw one. I'll get to that after you. Sorry.
I saw a couple too. Yeah.
Just briefly, let's talk just a moment here. Eric asked about how do devs combat piracy. What do you think, Puck?
Well, we've seen FS Labs putting out the malware. Was that FS Labs? I don't even remember.
It goes back to the whole, we need to support the developers need to make money, and we'll get more products.
I've talked a lot about this in my streams. Other people that have brought this up in other streams, I've talked about it a lot. I will pay money for a good product. I will never pirate a product, and I just don't understand the whole piracy thought process behind it. I understand some people are not fortunate enough to have the money to purchase said aircraft or said scenery or said add-on, but in the end of it, it will actually come back to you. If somebody catches, if you're caught, it will come back to you. You will get charged. You will get caught. Also, developers. I've talked a lot with Jack, Flying Jackal from FlyJ Sims, and they put so much work into their aircraft, and it's horrible to see that people are like, I don't care about them. I'm gonna pirate the aircraft because I can't afford it. And that doesn't. It's one, morally wrong in my opinion. Two, it really doesn't help you at all, other than giving you an aircraft that.
You're not helping the community. You're not giving the community a good name. No. You're feeding. You're probably telling your friends, hey, don't spend the $50, right? Go get it from here. Easily enough, pretty. Not funny, but true. When John was showing off the Providence scenery that was recently updated by Vertical, somebody in your chat, John, like live in the chat, said, I found your scenery for free on a Russian website, and posted up the link and sent the link to Vertical, if you can believe that. Like the day of, right?
Yeah, and I think that message got quickly deleted too, if I recall correctly. But it's that's the thing, is don't point it out, people. Don't. It drove me up the wall that someone on Facebook posted a picture saying, do not support these guys, and gave the URL of where you can go and get the products for half the price or free, but don't ban these people. It's like don't give out the link. Don't spread the word. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that and as much as I don't like to have to reactivate a plane every time that a simulation platform upgrades, I don't want to have to reactivate. I'm all in favor of the DRM and making that solid, so we can keep more money in the developer's pocket in order to, again, bring out new product. All right.
Because if we keep them happy, they will keep us happy. It has to be a two-way relationship. We can't just keep demanding, and say, I want more plane for less money, right? It can't always work out. I
feel like that's happened with PMDG as well. But there was actually something that popped up from Mitchy Mitch. Should there be trial periods on products? I think so. I think there should be.
And there is for some things.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, for things like X-Plane, for example, you do have a trial, a free trial. So you'd like to possibly see aircraft have a free trial. Like maybe an hour. I would like to have at least an hour. I don't think I can get a particular 7 Boeing aircraft. I can't get a feel for it in 15 minutes per se. Mm-hmm. Other than aesthetically, you could, but that's a good thing. Quickly, Puck Vanek, what's the origin of your name?
I knew somebody was going to ask that. Okay, I'm going to do this as PG as I can. Don't give me that face, Brad. There is a hockey player. My favorite hockey team is the Minnesota Wild, from Minnesota, of course. And there was a player back in 2014. His name was Thomas Vanek, Vanek, like how mine is spelled. And he was the laziest player I think I've ever seen play for the Minnesota Wild. He would stand at the blue line. He would go off sides every time he got a pass. He would just sit up there and puppy guard and whatever. And he's kind of sucked. He sucked for us. So I would always say, you know what? F you, Vanek. But then I thought, if I'm going to transfer that name over to an online site like YouTube or Twitch, probably PGify that a little bit. So
PGify, I like that word. I like that.
Is
word.
It? Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like that.
Puck for hockey and Puck for FU. So Puck Vanek, there it is.
There you go. You got the story. John Fly is just the opposite of John Stahl. That's why there's a plane going up in my logo and a plane going down.
I like that.
Brad M is before. Brad M is Brad M. Just another one here that popped out. We talked about how flight simulation is in this renaissance period. Prozac makes a very good point that flight sim is realistic enough that El Gargantuan was able to power up a real 737 without instruction. This was a private chartered in Dubai 737 on the ramp that Garg was able to fly over and start up. But he makes a good point that he was able to do that. And that's how sophisticated it is. So
and that's what's amazing.
I see a couple other questions here, Brad, but I'll let you pick one.
I got one. This is hitting me right in the soft spot here. Sabo70. Thinking of paying to join PilotEdge, do you think it's worth it over VATSIM for someone that's not a pilot in real life but wants realism? And the short answer is already yes. I've flown maybe like less than a dozen, maybe like half a dozen flights on there by now over the past like 5 days. And I'll tell you what, actually 6, by the way, I'm good at counting. Yes. Short answer is yes. I am not being endorsed, compensated, or anything for this message, but I'll tell you what, I am so glad I spit the bit and did it. I am not a pilot, full disclaimer. So yeah, it's super fun. Do the trial first. There is no information required besides an email. That's it. Give it a go. But if you're used to VATSIM, you're in pretty good shape. Again, I have no training, okay? But if you don't know what you're doing, proceed at your own discretion.
No, it's been a pure joy to see Brad M finally on PilotEdge, and I know that he's going to complement it with FS Cloud, and Puck's even going to get back on the PilotEdge bandwagon. He's dabbled in it before, and Puck is our real world pilot that's on the PB&J staff here, so he's going to give us a lot of real world aviation experience, and he'll be further criticized on PilotEdge than Brad and I will be,
which is
I will be. Yes, I already have.
Fun.
Okay. I already have. Hey, you forget to wait for your clearance to be released, and you take off. That's.
And then you log off the network.
And then you log off the network. Yeah, no big deal.
I've been on PilotEdge for a couple of years now, and I still will maintain that it's the #1 add-on for any aircraft. PilotEdge.net. And you, as was mentioned here by Brad, you can get a 2-week free trial. But I go as far as to offer streamers an additional incentive. You do your 2-week trial, and you pass all your CAT ratings on live on stream. I will potentially, and you keep it PG-ish on your stream. I will potentially sponsor your next month or two. And there's other people there's other people that will sponsor you for additional months because again, this is an expensive hobby. So
yeah, but again, that is short answer. Just do it. You won't regret it. It's a lot of fun, and there's no it's cool, fun.
Question going back to the whole piracy thing, I saw this from Bennett. I was actually thinking this before you said something. There we go. Okay, before you said something, Bennett, I was thinking this. Do you think adding a trial period to planes will increase pirating? I was thinking about that, like as I was talking about it. Yes, I think it probably will, but there's always two-way authentication. I can't even say that word, but kind of like what streamers have to do with Twitch, how you log in with your password, and then I get a text from Twitch that says, "Here's your login." I think that might be something on the horizon for developers, but yeah, it's definitely something that probably would happen because it gives you access to the code to the aircraft. Maybe if they didn't give you full access to the aircraft, it might be a little bit safer.
That's what B2 is saying now. Like if you guys know, whenever you fly in the Flight Factory A320, everybody, it's just amazing. Go in the forums, look up. There's a new post every day. My FPS drops down to 30 when I start my engines up. That's because when you fire up the engines, it's doing a DRM check to see if you have a proper approved serial key, and that's why it drops down, which makes sense. They don't want you flying it if it's a pirated copy. But I mean, just to be able to load in and see the textures, get a feel for it, like it'd be very cool. But I think it's a very interesting thing to do to be able to say, here's our software, right? I mean, even the Flight One store has, again, I'm not sure. I think Mike Zulu Hotel said a 30-day return policy on software. Like hardware, okay, right? You're getting a physical exchange, but software, I mean, that could go to your brother's cousin and their mother and their sister, and whoosh, it's out of here, right? I mean, people are sneaky.
Yep.
It's risky, but
for sure.
Gotta trust people, I guess.
Brad, here's a question for you. But what about group flying outside of coverage areas? FS Cloud is awesome, but would be nice for a PE to have a monthly price for just that?
St. Wolfric, I plan, I pledge my full support to take Keith Smith out to many dinners and drinks and whatever Broadway show if he wants to, whatever he needs to do. All, of course, company expense. And yeah, I'm going to make that happen the best I can. Of course, I'm not actually going to be doing all of this, but I will certainly try because that is the coolest thing ever. Last night on my stream, we did a flight up into Canada. So we left the coverage area. I loaded up FS Cloud, and then we actually did the return flight back into Portland. So we exited coverage area, then re-entered, and I maintained PilotEdge and FS Cloud running at the same time. But I do certainly agree, a low monthly price just to have access to their network. But again, that's not decided by us because of, you know, it requires tons of server stuff on their end and tons more maintenance for their accounts, all that sort of stuff. But if I in any possibly way can influence that, then I absolutely will, because I would love the idea to no end, and it would just make things so much cooler for all of us to have such a great, stable, you know, group flight network backbone, I guess.
The CSLs on PilotEdge are just amazing.
They're
the
fantastic.
HD CSLs, the fact that you're playing, if I'm flying formation with someone, it doesn't rubber band. But I like the idea of learning from, again, I'm learning every day from watching other people's streams. I learned from Brad M that I can have FS Cloud and PilotEdge together if I wanted to. Now, today when I did a flight in the 737, I wasn't going to go on FS Cloud, but I can see how there would be some scenarios where I can bring in those other people. But I, for one, personally would love to see PilotEdge have a monthly fee that would cover outside of coverage area for those group flights. I think that they could generate some income. But you know, it was asked here in the chat, does John Fly own PilotEdge? No, I wish I did, and I wish I also had won the Powerball and I could make it go global. That would be. I mean, Tahiti Tower. This is, you know.
Yeah.
One day,
Now,
John.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there's almost, it's hard to believe from our end as consumers. There's no reason not to, but of course there, you know, if it was feasible and viable, it probably would have been done already. But I mean, you know, if everybody chips in $5 a month just to have this, you know, just to have this low latency, super high def model stuff, I mean, they could add new controllers. They could seriously expand their coverage. I mean, you could probably open up the entire U.S. just by the sheer volume of users coming in.
And I would agree with Virus City. He says no age limit. I would agree with that because you're not having comms, right? Your comms are optional.
Well, you know, if you're using that
outside
service
of the coverage,
you would presumptively,
you
presumptively have to have no ability to use comms.
But we can just express our opinions. We are all, you know, PilotEdge fans. We can offer suggestions, but at the end of the day, it comes down to they can only do as much as they can with what they have. So their current subscriber base may not justify a network that has 500 planes on it, you know, across the U.S. or Europe or wherever. We don't know the behind-the-scenes infrastructure that would need to take place, and also the software protection to stop those planes from coming into the coverage area. What kind of cost does that have, you know, in play? It's not just to suddenly flip the switch and say, oh, guys in Nebraska can't come into Colorado or Kansas into Colorado. So there is some variation there. But
I think it's probably going to be something like they could disable your radios. If they can already fail your plane, they can just disable your radios altogether.
Yeah, good point. But they can't fail P3D though. So there is that
well,
part
okay. All right.
Snack Air. Yeah, John Fly is this owner of Snack Air. That is true.
John, question for you.
Yeah.
Do y'all flight sim stream full time? John, this one's for you.
At present, yes, I do stream full time. Does it pay? It's not by choice, to be honest. I'll be transparent about that. I was laid off after working for 10 years for a company in IT. I was offered a position up in Canada if I wanted to relocate, and you know, I'm not going to offend any Canadians, but I didn't want to go to Canada. I didn't want to have 3 weeks of golf season. So, so I'm being very, how shall we say, picky with regard to the next career choice. So at present, you will see me live pretty much every day for 3 or 5 hours.
I appreciate it because I get home from class and I jump onto John's stream. It's perfect.
I just love, and someone asked earlier here in the chat, do you stream for the viewers or is it for you? I think it was a combination. We enjoy the viewers. We enjoy the camaraderie. We enjoy meeting each other. We're going to meet in the real world. We're going to share stories for the rest of our lives. And we have this shared hobby, and we all come from different backgrounds and completely different situations in life. And this hobby brings us together. So I'm just happy to be here. And no, I would not recommend Twitch streaming under flight simulation as a career choice at this present moment.
That's a really hard stunt to pull. I think that's reserved for very few people.
It's a niche. It's a niche.
It's so super niche that people don't even get it. Like, there's 93 of you here right now. Like, we have to really understand, like, if you think the Earth is small and compared to the rest of the entire universe, just think about how small the flight sim community is when compared to every other community, right? I mean, Twitch, I should rather say specifically, not flight sim, because flight sim is rather large, but Twitch in specifics is quite small. So
we're micro. Yeah.
And I've actually think it's gotten a lot bigger. Especially with John, you, myself, and Bish 753 have actually started to go over to the X-Plane side of it, the X-Plane 11 category a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I've seen growth in that.
Just in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's actually I've started to find, or I've found new people. I'm sure John has seen new people. Bish, of course, has.
Catstrader, front page of Twitch.
Yeah, Catstrader, exactly.
Under that category. So yeah, it's great.
Definitely hard to compete with. I mean, that brought in 2,500,
concurrent
new people basically.
It was brilliant. I thought he did an amazing job. So well done.
Great.
Well done, Ty. Well done. Thanks for representing the community so well. And
he did a really good job too.
Well, and the thing is if I were on the front page and I was on PilotEdge, I'd be scared to death because we all know what happened outside of Helena, Montana.
Yes, we do.
Don't forget your anti-ice, kids.
Yes, do not forget your anti-ice.
Yeah, I think it's a slow tumble to pick up the XP categories. Many of you guys know we're trying to start a petition to create a new category just called flight simulation for Twitch, which is going to encompass, Aerofly, P3D, X-Plane FSX.
DCS,
after doing
maybe.
DCS, whatever flight simulation you have, right? Just a large kind of umbrella to cover us all under, just so it's easy to find. But after further research, we found out the category already exists, okay? But it's hard to find. So don't go looking for it right now. I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, you won't find it. I promise. But it does exist. So as weird as it sounds, it does exist.
Streamers have to type it in, basically. Flight simulator. Flight space simulator, yeah.
We're still trying to get some traction going with that whole thing. And we'd like to, right the wrong, I guess, because people, of course, have an aneurysm when you are under one category versus another. So give us some time to at least contact Twitch and figure out if maybe we can get that to be displayed a bit more easily before we try to transition over. Yeah.
For those new what happened outside Helena, there's a YouTube video on that whole flight.
Yeah,
we won't go into that right now.
Yeah, but, B2 is not new. He was there.
Yeah.
He was there.
Did you guys notice any other questions that you'd like to have
I gotta
talk about?
Again.
I think we missed a bunch, and so I will apologize to those who it may have scrolled off the screen and we may not have seen it. So what we're going to do down the road is there's going to be on our Discords for the time being, there's going to be a place to post questions that we can have kind of a little bit prepared to talk about. But a lot of this is going to be ad lib, and I think that's what we did tonight. We really honestly didn't have a set structure tonight. So in the future, we're going to have a little more structure, but I also like just winging it with the chat and talking about subjects. So go ahead. We got a few more minutes here to answer a question or two from chat. I hope you guys enjoy this type of content because I sure am.
I'm loving this already, to be honest. I could do this for all night, but we have to go to bed at some point. But Zach Sim asks, he feels there's a gap between who flight sims and who knows about streaming. How can you close the gap? That is everybody's, due diligence, right? Word of mouth, spread it. I don't want to be the guy that says tell your friends, tell your family, but tell your friends, I don't know, just tell anybody who has any potential interest in it. I cannot tell you what brought me to Twitch. I have no idea. Actually, it probably was YouTube that brought me to Twitch. That's a huge.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube hits way more of a viewer base than Twitch probably does. So, I mean, that's a huge. So, if you guys are ever on YouTube and stuff, and you make content, right? You have a Twitch channel, post it up on there. Let people know that, hey, life does exist on this side of the world too. I mean,
yeah. Mustafa, this is a cool collaboration. Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you, SimPilot13.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Virus City, for the positive feedback. Tote to Mac, the A319 texture specialist.
Guys,
right there.
Tote to Mac, by the way, you can find that either on the X-Plane forums or on my Discord in the X-Plane 11 section. He just released, if you own the Tolus, that thing comes with some pretty bland texturing, to put it frankly, and I'll admit that, day and night, any time of day. I don't like it. And he released a brand new overhauled texture pack that he worked on himself. It is crazy top of the line. It's super awesome stuff, and it's free. So go check it out, download it. It's going to transform your Tolus experience.
Yeah. St. Wolfric says, who has the best dressing room on the set?
Who has the best dressing?
Puck Vanek, I think. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of casual tonight with
just
my
wearing a t-shirt,
Snack
guys.
Air t-shirt. Yeah.
I should.
He's got the hoodie going on.
We're all wearing pants, though, right? Everyone's wearing pants.
That was mandatory.
If you guys don't swim with pants, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm wearing Snack Air boxers.
Here's one from B2. This one's kind of controversial since we're streamers, and it might be one that we can't really answer, but it's kind of a good one to answer.
Oh no.
Do y'all think we need more streamers for Flight Sim or fewer large streamers? Obviously, both is best of both worlds.
Okay. Do you want me to go?
Go for it. You're the biggest out of the two of us, so.
I will say that this is flat out truthful. I want our flight simulation streamer numbers to quadruple as quickly as possible. Some of you know I started the Global Sim Alliance, and my whole entire goal was to increase the viewership of Twitch flight simulation channels, and also potentially make some friendships along the way. It's been pretty successful in those two goals, but I'm going to tell you right now, and this is coming from my heart, that some personalities do not mesh with other personalities. Some personalities just, they attract from the moment they meet, and they stay with them, and it's a beautiful thing. The more flight simulation streaming options that we have, the more personality that you're going to find that you match with, that's going to be your entertainment. Because at the end of the day, it's all about us sharing together and coming and really enjoying this hobby together. But you may not like me. And I want you to find someone to enjoy this hobby with, who meshes well with what you're about. And that's why you'll find that even us three, we have a different core group in our streams. And I think a lot of it has to do with that magnetic mesh or not. And that's not to say that we don't go to streams where we may not have that attraction to that personality. Sometimes we just go there because it's so dang informative or whatever. But that's how I feel about it. I want it to grow. How about you,
I agree.
Brad?
Yeah, I want it to grow as well. I mean, I think we all want that, right? I don't think the growth is going to hurt us in any way. I mean, you understand, like, things only get better. I mean, like, of course, I'm sure somebody will bring up some downside to it, but I mean, like, the more people we get into here, that means the more cash flow through it, which means developers can smell the money, which means more products to keep us happy. We can make a lot more advancements with hardware, right? I mean, you guys have seen the new Honeycomb stuff coming out. Like, that wasn't a reality like 5 years ago, because they didn't probably think there was a market for it. They didn't exist, or whatever it may be.
No.
But you have to show that there's interest, and unfortunately, in a digital world right now, it has to be done with money, right? We can't just show up at flightsim.com headquarters and say, hey, we're all here. We have to we have to kind of flaunt it a little bit. So I think the growth is definitely super good.
Yeah,
I'd love to see.
I agree with that. I don't really. You guys pretty much covered what I would have said, but I think a lot of the growth, like when I first started watching, I probably watched Twitch or I probably watched Flight Simulation for about 2 to 3 months before I actually started streaming myself. And when I started, I was watching the same 3 people. I was watching John, Brad, and Valdudes. And those were the only 3 people that I would watch. And then all of a sudden, I started streaming. Then I saw a bunch of other people start streaming. And then over the summer, I now probably watch 6 or 7 consistently. And I actually think it's gotten better. I think the whole flight sim community has gotten better for it. Yeah, of course, as you get more people involved, you get the drama aspect, but honestly, the drama aspect doesn't tear down the whole community aspect, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you look right now at how many streamers are on Fortnite right now, how many streamers are on PUBG, how many are on Call of Duty, there's a lot of room for a lot of viewers. And how great would it be for us to spread the word and let people just really have fun with this amazing hobby? So that's. It's a great question, by the way. It's a wonderful question.
I have one. This is really catching my eye. I'm not going to let it slip away here. This is going to be for either of you to answer.
Okay.
From Rave Wolf. Okay. And he asks, pretty much, lets us know that it's the whole X-Plane versus P3D thing, right? And long story short, he says, I enjoy both sims. What do you guys think we can do to bring everybody together rather than create separate camps between X-Plane and P3D? Because, that's a huge, in life there's always competition, right? The landing rates, stuff like that. So, everyone has to have something, right? One person has a better car than the other, right? So how can we unify the sims rather than divide?
I think that's a great question. I mean,
it's a good question. That's a really good question.
It's very. I mean, obviously, we know that that's a channel topic that comes in the Twitch streams. There's emotes that are dedicated to the fact that some find it boring that divide. But there's a lot of hybrid streamers. There's a lot of hybrid streamers who rock both platforms, and there's an advantage there too, because they can expand their viewership. There's some people that just flat out just don't like X-Plane, so they may not watch a John Fly or Puck or Brad, but this PMDG NGX reboot is actually making me reconsider doing P3D again. And we all know that the Active Sky in P3D is amazing, and we don't want to talk about the differences between the two platforms. I think that the way that you pretty much try to find the good in all platforms, right? You try to find the good water in DCS, and you talk about that. And then when Brad streams the Cat 2 rating and passes it, John buys DCS. I shy away from that debate because I think both have their pros and cons. But how do you? I think that I don't think there's a. Well, I'll let you guys continue on to that subject, and let me know your thoughts on that.
It's hard.
We're all very X-Plane, so let's put that out there. We're very very X-Plane. Yeah,
all 3 of us are primarily X-Plane. So,
but Brad is P3D curious, and I've done P3D before.
I mean, I'm curious for it.
To be fair, not to interrupt, but I think I deserve at this point. I want you all to know that Puck Vanek does actually own P3D.
So do I. I mean, I have. Yeah.
No, but John, that's public. But this is.
Oh, that's public. That's true. That's true.
I do actually own it, and I do own aircraft for it and sceneries. But I have not flown on P3D. I did 1 stream on P3D in the last year.
No.
And I don't. Problem with P3D for me.
Here we go.
The problem with P3D for me is the amount of money that I need to put into it. I was not like many of you when the whole P3D when 3 came out, I was a very late bloomer to buying 3. So I bought 3 probably a year. I don't even remember how long it was. It was probably 8 years into it. Or 8 years. Wow. 8 months into it. And I bought a few sceneries, and all of a sudden V4 came out, and then V3 wasn't supported anymore. So I was like, well, what the heck? I'm not going to buy another $60 sim after I just purchased one. So I then saw X-Plane, and I saw the potential and the growth in X-Plane, and I actually think I saw a Torb stream of him streaming the 733, the IXEG, and I saw that and I was like, this is incredible. And so I jumped on the X-Plane bandwagon, and I've been here ever since. To me, I like both sims. I think both sims look incredible. I think you can make P3D look incredible. It's the money that you have to. It's a lot of money that you have to put into it. And
we were talking about that whole entry, getting into the hobby cost wise, but just in full disclosure, I think the PB&J Streamcast will actually have some people come on as guests that are primarily P3D. And I think that will,
love it.
Because this is a flight simulation podcast, Streamcast, and I think that it'll be very fascinating to see Brad enter into that realm as well. And like I said, I'm thinking about it for the NGX reboot. It's you know what my favorite aircraft is, the Zibo 737. So it'll be interesting to see what the reboot of the NGX brings to the table. So yeah.
Nico's calling.
What is the reboot, by the way? I'm curious about that. What's that reboot about?
It's basically just an update of the 737 for P3D.
I think that's probably in due time, because I don't think they've updated it since I've owned it in 2010. Probably.
All right. What do you guys see anything else, or did you want to answer that question?
D-Monies. Did you see what D-Money's just posted? We're gonna need a PB&J FS Expo live commentary.
This one's for you guys here. Scotty Bob asking, we all watch you guys, meaning us, to learn how to fly better. Where did we learn from? Right?
Where did we learn to fly better in the sim?
Yeah, so Scotty's saying he watches us to learn how to fly better. Now the question is,
it's to be honest, it's the same thing. It's me watching others, but also, isn't it, guys, Puck, Brad, isn't it so true that we learn so much from our chats?
I learn more from my chat than I learn from IRL flying. I'm not joking.
Yeah, sometimes there are simisms that the chat helps us out, but then other times there's actual real world situations that the chat helps us out with. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who comes into X-Plane, you have 100, 200 hours, which may sound like a lot, but now after probably over like 1,500 at this point, it's kind of maniacal. But just getting the new aircraft, and you're like, oh man, it's super cool. I got the Flight Factor 757. I know how to fly the Zibo, right? Maybe somebody else already has 800 hours in the Flight Factor 757, so they know it way better than you. And
757 Spy.
Yeah, they could just be Joe Schmo from Kokomo, for all you know. But the point is that it's live, engaged learning, and in my opinion, that's what makes it so much better than YouTube, is because it's not like, oh, I wake up the next day and read a comment on the video. It's live right now. I'm not going to miss this restriction. I'm not going to forget to put my packs, back on, right? So, I mean, it's super cool to have, dozens, hundreds, right, of eyes on your plane on top of your own. So we're looking out for each other in a way, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, but Scotty, I think, I just learned, I don't know, I just picked it up and went, and I just, I didn't even really, obviously Twitch didn't exist when I was, getting into flight sim, and I don't know, I just, read manuals and, like, believe it or not, read books. I still have this right here, the 757, 767 handbook. This thing is like the best piece of reading I've done in a recent time. And
that cockpit companion is to die for too on your iPad.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's
Yeah, and I know. All right, sorry, go ahead, Brad.
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from Prozac 919. He's a real world 737 driver. I've learned things from Puck. He's a real world pilot who was rated, and I've learned things from Max and Josh, and I've learned things from Nico and several others. I love the real world aspect that comes into the chats, etc. And yeah, I've learned from other streamers. A lot of it too is trial and error, and a lot of it's reading online stuff, reading the forums, reading checklists and different
things. Read the
things.
manuals, guys. Yeah, read the manuals. And checklists
I avoid the manuals for a lot of the stuff, but sometimes you just have to.
Yeah,
have to do it there. So
especially with like installing things besides, just installing things as well. Read manuals, guys.
Yeah.
I actually one instance, like John was just talking about, where reading stuff. I actually when the flightsim 727 was released, the first flight I did was on stream. I had never started the thing, never flew it. All of a sudden, boom, Flying Jackal was in there. Jack was in there, the creator of flightsim.
Create some O-snacks in chat, please.
Yeah, can we get some O-snacks? No, I mean, I knew Jack from when I was flying the 727, so it was no big deal. But he was in there, and I would tell him what I think needed to be done. And then he would say, well, actually, you're supposed to do this. And then I'd be like, okay. And I'd make a connection to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the stuff that when I go and I watch other streamers, I'll go and I'll say, okay, I think you should do this. And all of a sudden they do this. And then they tell me why they do that. And I think that creates a spark in my head. Because I'm going to be completely honest. Real world flying doesn't teach you everything. It doesn't teach you jack until you actually get to your type ratings. I don't hold a type rating in a jet. So everything I learned from the sim is either trial and error or from streamers or from YouTube videos.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube.
Yep.
I will say, and someone brought up a good point. I think it was Prozac here in the chat. Hello, Prozac. Grau Adler has taught me so much about the citation. And that's in fact, I need to fly that again soon, because that's S550. Even though it's got its little sim-isms, we'd like to say, I need to break
like
that
a
out
vacuum
there.
cleaner.
Yeah. Let's see if we can probably take a few more. I'm with you, Brad. I could do this for a long time, but
keep them coming, guys.
I'm good.
But I'll tell you, this is interesting though. You guys know, like, of course, maybe even some of you might be backseat pilots, but oftentimes helpful. Of course, there is the occasional, non-helpful backseat pilot who is just there to either give you a hard time, tell you you're following the wrong SOP, when, to be honest, none of us know SOP for any specific airline or operator and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, though, I am now more hesitant to offer up help to others after knowing, right? After receiving the backseat piloting, I am now more hesitant to offer up my backseat pilot services, as I feel, a potential backlash.
I find myself occasionally saying, in fact, I think I said something today. I said something to Bish, I think, or no, who was it? I can't remember who it was, but I just said, oh, no. I think I said it to you, Brad. I said 250 knots below 10,000. You knew that. But you also you're streaming, you're interacting with the chat, you're maybe not aware of the fact that
on top of it
you're
all.
a PilotEdge, you're at 11,000 and you're at 300 knots. And I think that I hesitated to say something, but at the same time,
I'm very glad you did.
There are moments where it seems like it's going to help the streamer become, more aware of it's like having an FO. So I welcome it, but yeah, there's personalities.
Yeah, you threw me a huge lifeline for that, because of course the Zebo, thinking you're above 10,000, it doesn't care what you're doing. You could be doing 850 knots, but in the same regard, I've definitely thrown you lifelines too, and I'm glad whenever I drop you the add John Fly tag, you got to read that one, because I'm trying to save
whenever you make it red. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you've I mean, both of you guys helped me out so much with the Tolus 319, and I thank you for that. So I learned from these two guys quite a bit. I fly too many planes. I fly 44 different planes on stream, guys.
Oh my god! I wish I could get 44.
I fly 44
wow.
different planes.
You're nuts.
It's hard to remember all the ins and outs. Hello, Cirrus Max.
Hi,
Max,
Wolfie.
What up? Wolfie's in the house.
Wolfie's here. Cranky65.
Cajun Cacti said something here that, sorry, it caught my eye. Puck is familiar with this. Flight sim is a great tool for learning to fly, but some still need to remember that this is a simulator. Flight sims are for training, will always be different, but using X-Plane or P3D assets in learning or assist in learning the learning process. Wow. How do you guys feel about, like, when it comes to GA? I know, Brad, you don't do GA very often.
Yeah.
How have you guys like developed the whole mentality towards like IRL flying when it comes to the sim?
Go ahead, Brad. I'll.
I was gonna say, I mean, sometimes you know, when you're old like me, guys, you know, you drive fast cars all your life. Sometimes you just want to get on a bike and take it slow, take a nice cruise down the road, right? So if you can actually comprehend this, I know it's kind of crazy to believe, but I actually am flying propeller aircraft off stream. Of course, I would never let you see that, by the way, but it does occur, and it actually is kind of fun. It's mostly just for my own personal satisfaction, like checking out ortho and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you're asking Puck like how it translates into IRL flying, like, I mean, is that what your question really was, or?
I think he was just saying that the sim it's good for learning the process, but the sim is not real life, and I completely agree with Cajun Cacti there. The sim,
well, I mean, yeah, it'll teach you how to operate the plane physically, but
exactly.
I mean, once you throw
it'll teach you
yeah, it'll teach you how to push buttons, right?
Or what an instrument is, or what it does.
Like,
you know,
you could work a Garmin 430 right before you even get into it, which is crazy, right? But
there was actually a stream where I was just sitting back and watching, lurking, and John was with Cajun Cacti's son, and Cajun Cacti's son he's going for his instrument right now. I believe he's going for his instrument, right?
Yeah, check ride, yeah.
And he was explaining the different kinds of approaches to John, talking about approach charts and whatnot, like
approach briefings,
the headers, the plane view, the profile, whatnot, airport diagrams, stuff like that. And he was going through all of that stuff, and we were asking him questions. And I actually think that aspect will actually teach a streamer or somebody doing flight sim. I think that will teach them more than just being, hey, get into the cockpit and let's go do this.
Yeah.
And I think when I was doing my instrument training, half of the training was actually in a simulator, was in a full cockpit 172 simulator. And they do that because it's a lot to throw at you to get in an actual aircraft, have to look down, manage altitude, manage radios, manage everything to do with the approach. So again, the sim does not simulate it will simulate IRL, but it will not give you the same sensation. It will not give you the same effect as IRL flying.
Well, unless you have a Delta 213 cockpit.
Of course you're unless you're Nico, of course.
No, well, I mention this though. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say with VR, like the muscle memory was there. First time in the Zeba with my touch controllers, it was spot on. I knew what to reach for and when and where and all that. And same thing in the Cessna. So the muscle memory, you'll have to kind of learn. Like if you've never been in a real plane before, again, I went to go fly with Josh Gibbs in San Diego. And I'll tell you what, guys, you guys saw on the stream probably that I had the death grip. I was super puckered up. Like it is nerve wracking. It's not the sim, but at the same time, you have that little bit of like a safety cushion because you know what you're doing, relatively speaking, but whole different animal in the real life.
Because of Twitch and because of PilotEdge, I've been very fortunate to be able to fly in the real world with Josh and with Max. I've spent a lot. I think I have 70 hours with Max. And I'm going to tell you right now,
poor Max.
The simulator, poor Max. the simulator, the time that I spent on PilotEdge got me to the point where I actually would run the comms on the eastern seaboard for hours because of the training on PilotEdge. So did that translate to IRL? Yeah. In fact, I would go as far as to say if you're good, if you spend a lot of time on PilotEdge, you're going to be much better than most of the pilots out there in the real world on comms. So I feel like I comfortable the phraseology, the everything like that, That translates over. The seat of your pants feeling does not translate.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
And I actually, that is probably the whole PilotEdge thing with John and the radios. That is the number one thing that will get you every time. Because I'm an IRL pilot. I learned my comms through flying IRL. Then I jumped into PilotEdge, and PilotEdge is very by the book. You do what the FAR and you do what the AIM says. And I jumped into that, and I was kind of kicked in the pants. Like I was a little bit, I was slow to everything. I was behind the curve. And if you train in that kind of environment where it's really by the book and really, really down, like fully, how do I say this? Like fully fledged. If you do that kind of training, you'll do so much better in IRL. And I actually think the month and a half that I was on PilotEdge, I think my radio calls afterwards were much, much better. And I'm not afraid to say this, but until I purchased my Bonanza, I had never done an IFR flight by myself. I had always been with an instructor. And I pre-PilotEdge, I probably wouldn't have done it. GA, I probably wouldn't have done it. But post-PilotEdge, I was so confident and so comfortable with doing it that it really made it easy. Picking up my IFR out of an uncontrolled airport the first time was a piece of cake. And now I feel completely confident with it. And
we got a subscribe. This URL gifted a tier 1 sub to Mr. Dad Gamer. Thank you, this URL.
What's up, Mr.
Thank you,
Dad?
Mr. Dad Gamer. I'll just say one more thing. I know that we sound like a PE advertisement. We just all love it.
Pretty good.
This is an honest statement. This is a very honest statement. I had no nerves whatsoever when talking in the real world to New York Approach. But whenever Keith Smith gets on the radio, I'm more intimidated by Keith Smith than New York Approach. I love it. But yeah, anyway.
It's also the fact that, New York Approach, they won't see you face to face. But again, Keith, right up the road.
Repetitive. They know who you are. Yeah.
Keith will be knocking on my door 30 minutes from now if I mess up. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing that Prozac pointed out is that in the real world, I was able to do a cockpit tour of a 737, and you don't just reach up with your mouse and turn the switch on. There's like a pull and locking mechanism and everything like that. So there is quite a bit of difference between the sim and the real world. But boy, is it when he said, "Hey, here's your fuel pumps," I knew exactly where to look because of the sim. I even knew where the Mach, the stall warning horn test button was. I knew all of it because of the sim. So thank you, Sim.
Jen, this is coming from your PB&J Discord. I'll be watching later, but I would. What advice would you give to want to be streamers? I think I said that properly. What advice would you give to want to be streamers? There we go.
Yeah, I would say it's really simple. Maybe 5 things. Good webcam. If you don't have a webcam, I don't tune into you most of the time.
Wait, did I say streamers? Sorry, simmers. Wow.
Oh, streamers. I was going there. But let's quickly do the streamer thing. Webcam. I let Torbinator slide on the webcam for some reason. Good audio. Stream interaction. Try to limit your profanity. I won't go any further because that wasn't what the question was. But regarding the simming, I would say this. I would say patience. If you tune into a Puck Vanek stream and you see him flying the A320 and the way that he does it, don't think that that's what you need to be knowing right away. You're just starting the Cessna. That's my biggest advice. What do you think, Brad?
Starting simmers, I think the question that I get at least a couple of times a week in Discord is, what should I buy? Should I buy this or should I buy that? Or, I just got X-Plane. What's my first payware purchase? And of course, I think, everybody usually beats me to it, but it's the Zebo, right? Because I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I feel that a lot of us in the flight sim world are here for the big stuff, right? We want to do things that we can't do, right? If I can fly a Cessna in real life, I have really no want to do it in this video game, right? I want to fly the stuff I can't fly, right? But if you want to start off simming, just go in with a low budget intentionally, right? Get yourself situated, get yourself on stable ground, and just don't dump tons of money into it, because I've seen people that come into here, they spend lots of money, they get burned out, and it's gone. Now, if you have a lot of money, that's great, you can do it, but most people don't. So I would say go in with a low budget, go in with, relatively high expectations. You're going to enjoy yourself, and, just properly space out your time. Don't get burned out like I mentioned before, but, just do a lot of learning you can and have a good time.
Yeah. Also, I would say that Discord is a great medium for support.
Oh my God.
Jump on the Brad M, the Puck Vanek, the John Fly Discords. You're going to have, it's amazing at how helpful people are on the Discord with beginning simming. So ! Discord in my chat, you can probably do a similar command in both of these guys, their streams. I think Discord is a huge thing. You might even get someone to go as far as to video conference with you and talk you through the basic startup of the Cessna or the Piper or the 380. You could do screen shares. There's all kinds of guys that are willing to help out, and it's amazing. Go ahead, Puck. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Start in the 172. I'm gonna be biased. Start in the F-33 Bonanza with the rep pack. Yeah, a lot of people that I see come in are, how do I start the Zebo? I have the Zebo, but I only see the cockpit. I don't see anything else, or the exterior's not modeled, and I'm like, go through these steps or whatnot. And all the information is always there. It's always available, and we're always willing to help. It's just make sure that you're asking questions. If you don't understand something, you need to ask. That was the biggest thing. When I first started out simming, I didn't ask anybody. I'd always go on the forums and yada, 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 and see if people were doing it, but I'd never ask. So I never got anywhere. And then once I started watching streams, I would watch what they did, and then I'd ask if I didn't understand something. And once you do that, it's really super easy and super simple to get simple answers to problems that you thought were huge.
Which is also what I'll say is, if you have a problem with your sim, start small. If you say my Zebo is not doing this, don't think for this just the craziest, smallest thing ever. Don't ever disclude anything, because all the time we're always fixing our sims and something's not working. Right now, I'm having an issue, matter of fact, right now with Xcoder's Denver mesh, as a matter of fact, right? But other than that, the sim is fine. But start with the basics. Like, if you ever have a sim problem, just don't eliminate anything just because it doesn't seem like it would be the problem. Like, I've had people that just, their radios aren't working because their sound's not enabled, or they don't have a certain checkbox turned off, or their radio is simply just not even flipped on. Right.
Yeah. By the way, did you see my note that the X-Plane 11.3 release candidate 3 looks like it may address the night lighting issue at Denver?
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
I hope, because I sent you a link in our Discord. So yeah, hopefully that's all. That's just a side note. But yeah, there's so many different resources. So but yeah, you guys get the idea. And yes, Puck Vanek there. Also, if one of my mods could do a shout out for Brad M, please.
Yeah, you guys can always reach us anytime for help. I think we're all overly willing to help. I mean, I've gone through countless.
Always got our phones.
Yeah, I've gone through countless screen shares. I've walked people through entire flights, start to finish, through entire ortho builds and everything in between. So like, you guys can always message us for like any question, like small, simple, large, whatever it may be. So
to wrap up that question about advice to new simmers, Prozac this is kind of sum it up, and then we can leave that topic. But he said, there is no right way to fly unless you want to make it as close to IRL as possible. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to be by the book. You can go upside down and buzz the tower. You just have fun with it and enjoy it. And then over time, you may find that you want to do it as close to real as possible.
Yeah.
Because I take a gyrocopter and do a tour of an airport. You're not going to do that in the real world. So, all right, I think we got time for one or two more maybe here. Is there anything else that stands out to you guys?
UA fan asking, recommend for new streamers, just get it going. Just get the software, make it happen.
You know what? Here, I'll say another thing if you want to stream flight simulation, if you have one viewer, interact like you have 100.
Yeah, and don't go into it for the right reasons. Not that it's I mean, maybe you want it to be your job, but like don't go into it thinking, oh man, I'm gonna get donations and subs and all this sort of stuff. Like, like you can't, like I've seen people that will literally just start streaming and they already have, like $100 donation goal like ready to be filled up. Like it's their first stream ever, and it's like, you can tell that they're not probably there for the right reasons. Like, I'm here to show you guys, an awesome flight sim, and then you come and hang out with me in return. That's kind of like our exchange, really. But I would say if you want to get into it, just get the software downloaded. Don't be afraid to copy other people, so to speak, right? Like use other people's stream as examples, right?
You can use fork as a swear word, and you can use
fork,
snack.
Yeah.
Snork.
Snack.
Yeah. Snork.
Snork. I like that. Here's one. Here's a question for you all. What would you say to someone who is young and can't afford some of the add-ons? I think we touched this a little bit earlier. I'll start. When I was younger, when I was young and naive, I would just, I don't know, I'd do things for my parents. I'd like mow the lawn, work at the family ice rink, just do mow the lawn for my grandparents. If you're able to do like tiny things like that, that's the one thing that you can do. Or those are the tiny things that you can do. The problem I see with that is if you're below the age where you can like actually get a job at like fast food or something, might be a little hard. You might have to start off with a Zebo, or
just grind it out.
Yeah. When I was, I guess when I was a bit younger, I asked my parents to pay for flight lessons as opposed to airplane, like P3D add-ons, because I know they would say, yeah, you want to be a pilot? All right, we'll pay for that. But okay, you want to sit at your computer all day? Sucks for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard sell. I mean, if you're a kid though and you're that young and you don't have a job, which you can freely choose to spend your money on whatever you would like to, I mean, I wouldn't really advise dumping money into this, because chances are you're young enough where you're going to be, in a couple months like, hey, I don't really want to kind of do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think I like my Xbox more. Just something like that.
Yeah.
That's how
I would say that you make sure that you are kind of having fun yourself. I honestly don't come down to the pit and fly by myself very often. So just I enjoy when I fly. I want to have fun with you guys. And so Virus City asked, "What do you do about a dead chat?" You saw that. Yep. Basically, what you do is you really don't know, because sometimes the viewer count doesn't catch up, that someone just tuned in and their first impression is that moment. So just talk through the procedure, or talk through just something that happened in life that's totally unrelated. But it is a hard thing to do when the chat is dead or whatever like that.
We've all obviously done it though. Like it's happened to all of us. It's happened to everybody, right? There's never always just people there.
And I'll tell you this much too. There's a way to. Sorry, Brad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say vocalize everything you're doing. Like I don't care if you're flipping a switch or doing this or that.
Yeah.
Like vocalize everything you're doing. People might even just put you on for background noise, but then then you get more viewers. People start chatting as they see you have higher viewers, right? You make friends. You meet people who like your personality. So like, dead chat, just vocalize what you're doing.
Yeah. I would also go visit other streams and get to know other streamers and other streamers' communities. So your name is all of a sudden stands out when when I end a stream, I always host, for example. If you've been chatting in my chat a lot over the last 6 months to a year, you're streaming suddenly, I'm gonna be like, oh, here we go. Let's go talk to him, and then all of a sudden
I owe Durga big time. I've told him this. I've messaged him many times. I love the guy like nobody's business. And I still have a screenshot that I took on my phone from when Durga hosted me with 80 viewers back when I had like 3, and 2 of them were probably bots. The other one was me. So that's what I'm saying, is that does happen. And like just because like I was in Durga's channel for so long, hanging out, and just just being there basically, and he saw me and he's like, you want to know what, I'm gonna go make this guy's day, and he certainly did.
Honestly, I'm completely with that. If you have a dead, like when I first started, I streamed for probably like 2 or 3 weeks before I went out for spring break, and I was like, you know what, I'll be back and I'm gonna do this full time. I have a not so busy schedule. I'm done with my commercial cert, so I'm not flying at all. So you know what, I'm just gonna go straight for it, get out of class, start streaming.
Yeah.
And I had, for those 2 or 3 weeks, I maybe had an average of 2 viewers. I came back from break. I got my first 2 or 3 subs, and then it just kept building from there. And then summer rolled on and you're consistently going. But talk through everything. Talk about real life experiences. Talk about, even if you think it is the stupidest thing, it could, somebody could have a connection to that.
Yeah.
And I think my stupid thing was when I was growing up and playing hockey, I talked about this once, like in April, when I first got back going. When I first started streaming, I would talk about how everybody saw, because it was April, it was hot in my apartment, so I would always wear like short sleeves. And I'm not the biggest dude. I'm not very strong, but I got into hockey fights a lot. And so I'd talk about a hockey fight, or I'd talk about when I got the crap kicked out of me during a fight. And people would laugh at that. And then they'd be like, oh, this guy's actually kind of funny, blah, blah, blah. Which I'm not. I'm not funny. Just
I've laughed more than once with you.
Funny looking. Yeah, thank you. Yes. But it's honestly just keep talking. And it's hard. It's hard to not talk to anybody. But I mean, I hate saying this because it's kind of rude, but people that watch my stream they're okay with my brutally honest opinions. But when you are talking to a stream, you are talking to yourself. If people talk back to you, then you're talking to somebody. But until somebody replies to you, you're completely talking to yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I've discovered many things about myself by me just talking so much.
Yes.
Isn't it weird we can sit here and talk for like 6 hours during a stream? Like you can just talk like Isn't it weird? It just doesn't stop.
PH Kim got me because he said if all else fails, just hit your chair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. D Money says IRL vacuuming. That could be a thing. Also we got
vacuum cam.
Yeah, there's so much chat. We haven't been able to focus on chat. I hope that you guys realize that we're going to refine this PB&J process, and we're going to roll it around. I don't know if Brad or Puck's going to be doing the next stream here, maybe in a couple of weeks, but we'll roll it around, and I hope you guys will join us. I certainly enjoy chatting with these two fine folks, and I know that we'll have it. We'll probably have a little structure to it, but I also, again, I like this ad lib. Again, go to twitch.tv /BradM and twitch.tv /PuckVanick. The links will be in the description below if you're just watching this on a VOD. And if you guys could sum it up, your last words for the night, go ahead, Puck.
Oh, don't start with me. Come on, man.
Go ahead, Puck.
Yeah, I'm going to cry. Everybody, have a wonderful night. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, we'll try to get a little structure. If you guys have anything, please send us a whisper. Send us a private message on Discord. Post in John's Discord, Brad's Discord, or my own, and we will get to your questions. We'll write them down, and we'll make sure we answer them the next time. And yeah, it all goes down in the DMs. Exactly, Max. Yeah. But everybody, have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here.
Brad?
Oh, all right. I was going to say, yeah, if we miss your questions, guys, just keep on asking them because we'll eventually catch them there. But again, like they said, guys, just pump them through the channels. We'll see them. Ask anything. Doesn't matter what it is. But of course, we're mostly here. John's got age on us, but he also has a lot of experience with technology. I have a lot of sim experience. Puck has a lot of IRL experience. So we're hitting 3 different things here, right? I mean, these guys are teaching me things I didn't know and vice versa. So we have 3 different unique people here that are able to give us a whole different perspective on a lot of different things. So I would say, ask away, no holds barred, have fun with it. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It certainly seems like you did. And we're hoping to make this, weekly, bi-weekly, at the very least, at least it has to be monthly, but we're going to try to get you guys even just a weekly episode, and we'll post it all on our Discords. Whenever it goes live, it'll be posted up in there. We may do like a Sunday morning coffee chat, right, as opposed to a Wednesday night, late night stuff. So, just keep your eyes and ears open, and you'll hear about it when it comes around. So
yeah. Yes, they've summed it up really well. Thank you. You guys are making this possible, so thank you for the support. Thank you for all the questions. Again, we can't get to everyone. I think you guys understand that. Sometimes just stuff happens. But thank you, and thank you, Brad and Puck. I want to talk. Let's have a debrief here in just a moment after we host someone, of course. So
right.
Thank you guys very much.
Before we go, I think, John, for this occasion, everybody who's here right now, we should give them some snacks for being here for their time.
Give them
I would totally agree with that. I would totally agree with that. But the bot's not open.
Sorry, guys.
Hold on. Let me open the bot for this special moment.
Okay, one last question. Brad and I will answer this. One quick question. Quickly.
How many snacks am I supposed to give everyone? Be careful.
33. Typical. Virus, this will be on YouTube, by the way. Yep. All these will be uploaded to YouTube on John Fly's channel. But,
44.
Must be nice.
How does my hair look so darn good all the time? Oh, Verity. Oh. I knew you were talking about me, buddy. Thank you very much for that question. It's a lot of tender love and care, right?
I think Val Freedom is going over that. That's funny. Someone just B2 got the Val Freedom going in the background.